whatever you say about liberal democratic capitalism, it did make one point. One has to admit, one has to be honest, even if you are, I don't think many of you are a leftist critic of liberalism, as I am, but I confess something, that maybe for a couple of years here and there, capitalism can not only survive, but be set in motion through military or other dictatorship. But in the long time, after some 10, 20 years, usually capitalism does need at least some kind of democracy, like, for example, Chile. You have Pinochet, but then organically brings again, or at least needs democracy. This time is over, I claim. The crucial figure, I now participated in a debate in Germany where the well-known German philosopher Peter Sloterdijk said that if he can imagine a person to which 100 years from now statues will be erected around the world, especially Asian world, is Lee Kuan Yew, you know, the ex-president of Singapore. Already decades ago, he was the first one who saw this opening. We can have thriving capitalism with authoritarian regime. And no wonder that Deng Xiaoping consciously visited already when he was preparing Chinese reforms in Singapore and explicitly said, this is the path we should follow. I mean, if you worry about European legacy, freedoms and so on, you should worry. Because I think now that America is ideologically in a crisis and so on, the model which is expanding is this Chinese Singapore model of authoritarian capitalism. Why is this something genuinely new? Because, you know, some liberals still believe, oh, give it a chance, 10, 20 years, and no, I don't think this will happen. Here I'm more of a pessimist. I don't think that this pressure towards democracy will grow in China and they will have to know. What I hope it will, but what I'm afraid is that they effectively invented something new, which is rather shocking for us, Western liberal capitalists. A capitalism which, if anything, is even more dynamic than our capitalism, more dynamic in this wild capitalist sense, development and so on, but perfectly fits authoritarian political rule. So, this is the first thing we should take into account today, this multiplicity of capitalist models. And the challenge for Europe here is, will it propose or not its own model? I mean, we in Europe tend to be a little bit too arrogant, in the sense, you know, we like to look upon the United States as they are a little bit barbarian and so on. We are the true civilization. To this, Americans have a good answer. Some of their politicians claim that there is something false in the role Europe wants to play. As if we are already in some post-political paradise, like Kantian eternal peace, where we live in kind of a secluded, safe area, but we leave to the United States the dirty part, to deal with the enemies, to lead wars and so on. I think that up to a point this is true, not that I support American wars. When we criticize United States, it's often that we hypocritically criticize them but are secretly glad that they did the dirty job. For example, we were no less than Americans afraid of so-called Islamist terrorism. But, you know, it's not for our taste how brutally the United States did it. So, although officially we condemned it, we had doubts about the invasion, occupation of Iraq, but secretly we liked it. We play a second thing which worries me is that what Europe, I think, didn't yet invent really. That's the chance of Europe. We have now, apart from Latino American populism and so on, of which I don't have great hopes. I'm sympathetic to Chavez, more to Morales than Chavez, but I don't think it's really something new. We have two basic models today, globally. models. American style liberal democratic capitalism, and China, Singapore, whatever, as they put it poetically, capitalism with Asian values. Nice name for authority, no? Well, my argument for Europe is that I wouldn't like to live in a world where these are the two only options. I mean, it will be a very sad world, I think. A world very close to this authoritarian, not utopias, but dystopias like Blade Runner or whatever. And I think, here I'm very arrogant Eurocentrist, I think that if there will be a third way, not in the Tony Blair sense, but because the first paradox that I have about this Tony Blair third way social democracy, is that where is the second way, Third way strictly means first way with a human face. Third way means there is no second way. But what I want to say is that if there will be an alternative third option to this opposition, it will have to come from Europe. Unfortunately, I don't see this coming, although it's very chic, popular now among the leftists to be pro-Chavez or pro-Latino American populism. But this is the old leftist sport, Leftists are how? A political enemy of mine, but very good analyst, Jean-Claude Miller, a French Lacanian theorist, proposed for the relationship of left towards big politics the notion of, they claim they are Zenonists. He referred to, that ancient Greek paradox of Zeno, how you have Achilles who runs wildly, but he cannot ever catch up with the tortoise. And he said the intellectual left is like this towards governments or political parties, always running ahead, critical, but always in delay. So intellectuals like to have a country whom they admire, but it should be somewhere, the further away, all the better. No? Soviet Union was too close. China was better. It was far away. Now, they always want some ideal country so that they can say, oh, but it's really happening there, and so on. No? So, it's not, this will not go. So I think that all that Europe really offered till now is, apart from a vague talk, but it's not concept, it's of, Europe must retain its differences and all that stuff and so on and so on. Of course it has, but so what? We all know this. It's kind of a vague idea that we should keep the old social welfare state values, like be more civilized and so on and so on. I claim that this is simply not enough. This Europe, if the only chance is Europe, again, third world, Latin America, I don't trust it. It will not work. I don't think that if anything new will emerge, a new even civilizational forum, that it will emerge from impoverished third world countries. I think that if anything, they are ideally fitted, integrated into the most brutal third world market. What was for me an indicator here? I've written about it. You remember there was a rebellion in the east of Congo, some general undermining central power, and it's very interesting what he gave as a reason. The reason was he wanted the central government of Democratic Republic of Congo to cancel the deal they made with China. China plans to invest like tremendous amounts of money, over $100 billion to Congo, to basically build the entire infrastructure, railways, universities, and so on, hospitals, to make finally Congo a functioning state. Of course, then they want to have the right to exploit minerals there and so on for years. But what became clear is that the way Congo is now, it simply doesn't even function as a state. You have local warlords, each of them controls a certain mining region, and it's closely connected to foreign companies and so on, and this fits everyone. So the thing to reflect is, don't be too arrogant there. Don't say, oh, Congo, these blacks, they can't do it. No, they are fully integrated into global economy. Congo, the way it is now, a non-functioning country, just different zones control the different warlords, is already perfectly integrated into. So I think that for these reasons it will not work very well.